Hi, welcome to Teaching Writing as a Process, week 7 of Language and Literacy. This video is going to show a mini lesson. So this is a writer's workshop, and it's a mini lesson on how to make writing out of a small moment. So when children write, when you've asked them to do some writing, they will typically feel like they have to include every single detail, and it makes them overwhelmed, and it makes them not want to write. So if the writing prompt is, tell me about your Halloween, they will either say, I was a ninja, I got candy, and that's it. Or they will feel like they need to write everything down, and that can create a wall of resistance because they then become discouraged and think, well, that they can't do that. So what I like to try to do is to teach them, you can make a small moment into a writing piece. You can tell me about something very small that has happened to you, and it doesn't need to be big. It doesn't have to be something super interesting like going to Disneyland or going to Hawaii. It can be as small as watching a ladybug crawl on a leaf. And so that's what I mean by small moments. So when I talk with my kids, I'll say, boys and girls, when you write, you don't have to tell me everything that happens in a whole day. Some teachers call that from bed to bed experiences. So they woke up in the morning and they have to list everything they did until they went to bed. That's not what writers do. Writers take a tiny little moment and they just expand it and focus on it and talk about it and make it interesting. So I have used in the past my morning routine, which changes and evolves, of course, but I use one of my moments that I've had in my life as a small moment. And I'll say, boys and girls, I'm going to teach you how to write about something that's not very exciting. It's not very interesting, but I'm going to tell you about it and draw you in and see if you can have a picture of it in your mind. Okay, I'm going to title this piece of writing, My Morning. This morning, I woke up. I'll write that down. Let's write that down. This morning, I woke up to the feel of my kitty cat hopping onto my bed. He felt me move and immediately began to purr. I reached my hand out to scratch him behind his soft, furry ears. His purring grew louder. He began to knead with a K, knead my arm. And boys and girls, do you know what kneed means? I would explain this. It means he was doing this on my arm. He wanted me to get out of bed and feed him. I threw back my covers and swung my feet to the cold floor. He knew I was going to get him his breakfast. So he jumped down and ran over to his bowl. I stumbled to the closet to get his food. He began threading himself in and out between my ankles. And I would stop there and say, boys and girls, have you ever had a cat so excited that they're going to get fed that they just wander in and out between your ankles, and they're pushing their body against yours and purring and showing you that they're excited? That's what my kitty was doing. He gave me a quiet meow as I poured his food into his bowl. I sat next to him on the floor and scratched his back while he ate and purred. The end. Now, I didn't write about anything exciting. I didn't tell you anything that made you go, wow. It was a small moment. But I used some words in there that gave you a mental picture about what it was like to feed my kitty in the morning. I used imagery. I used adjectives. And I would say this to my students, but I do teach first and second and third grade. But some kindergartners know what adjectives are. So then after I'm finished, I would reread it and say, okay, let's see, what does this look like? My morning. This morning, I woke up to the feel of my kitty cat hopping onto my bed. He felt me move and immediately began to purr. I reached my hand out to scratch him behind his soft, furry ears. Not just his ears, but his soft, furry ears. His purring grew louder. He began to knead my arm. He wanted me to get out of bed and feed him. I threw back my covers and swung my feet to the cold floor. What kind of floor? The cold floor. He knew I was going to get him his breakfast, so he jumped down and ran over to his bowl. I stumbled to the closet to get his food. He began threading himself in and out between my ankles. He gave me a quiet meow as I poured his food into his bowl. I sat next to him on the floor and scratched his back while he ate and purred. The end. I know that many of you have small moments all throughout your day. Maybe you fed your dog this morning. Maybe you took your dog for a walk this weekend. Maybe you just played in the leaves this weekend. Maybe you have a fun experience that you could tell us about where you were swinging on a swing and you just felt so light and free, and the sun felt good on your back, and the wind felt good in your hair, and the breeze smelled like fall. Maybe you got to go to Starbucks with your mom. Maybe you got to go pick out a pumpkin. Small moments. This is what life is all about. And when we write about it, then other people can have a little glimpse into your experiences. You can make a word picture. You can paint a word picture just with words. You don't have to have anything exciting happen to write about it. That is a small moments writer's workshop right there. The end.